What's happening, cinephiles? This is Dan.
This is Zach.
And we are the Feature Fellas. Welcome to the Disaster Debates. Somebody stop me.
London dropped its dignity.
Yeah.
So has France and Germany.
Yeah.
All hands are dancing.
This week, our Disaster Debates, we're covering Son of the Mask, which released in 2005. When I was younger, I really loved this film. I thought it was amazing, really funny, and I probably watched it like 50 times. I just remember watching this film.
I have never seen this film.
Yeah, it's kind of mad.
Yeah, this is the first for me.
I thought it was pretty popular, but apparently I was wrong. Now that I'm older, I just realised I was a real stupid kid. Son of the Mask holds a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, with one reviewer hitting the nail on the head perfectly by saying dumb and loud with questionable material.
That's a bit outrageous, though, it's 6%.
6%.
That's like barely film.
Is that the lowest? No, Winnie the Pooh had 3%.
Yeah, but this is not, is it?
That's
like barely a film, basically.
It's bad. It's real bad. But I thought that was a pretty spot-on quote for the film. Maybe not the percentage, but the quote was pretty spot-on. It's got a 2.3 on IMDb, which is real low too, and a 1.2 on Letterboxd. Fair enough. Some of the behind-the-scenes info on this film is bonkers. I did a little bit of research on it when I was doing it, and when Jamie Kennedy was asked why he did it, he responded, "I'll give you 2.5 million reasons why."
Bloody
Fair play to him. Fair play to him for being so open. Before this film was made, there was plans for a proper sequel to The Mask, titled The Mask 2. Nintendo Power hosted a contest for this. If you won, you'd win a role in the sequel. So a boy called Nathan Ryan Runk won the contest, and when the film got shelved, he got told he could wait to star in it or take $5,000 instead. So he took the money, he got given a film crew jacket, which he lost, and some Nintendo 64 games. Fair play. I wish I was that kid.
Yeah, we just got in the film, isn't it? Why not?
Never happened. Jack Black and Ryan Reynolds both turned down this film.
Understandable.
Yeah, and I mean they've started some bad films, but
they have.
Fair play to them. They dodged this one.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
They had more than 2.5 million.
So without further ado, let's get into the review. So the film starts in Edge City, where I believe the first film took place, if I remember correctly. I haven't seen The Mask in ages.
Oh, possibly,
But I think that was it.
Yeah.
And so there's some really generic music playing in the background. It's real bad.
Yeah,
real
dramatic,
bad.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Some lightning cracks the sky, and someone's walking into this museum in Edge City. While Ben Stein, the guy with the really monotone voice, the museum guy, he's obviously in the first film. He comes back for this one for a cameo, but it's real awkward. It's not funny at all. It's really boring. He's talking about an old race that only spoke in rhyme, and then goes to talk on about his favourite subject, the whole of Norse mythology.
Yeah, it was really weird, wasn't it? Like, he is so boring.
He's still, in the first one, it's funny.
Yeah.
In this one, not so funny.
No,
not at
it's
all.
just, he is a boring man. But yeah, he was on about some sort of Mythalu tribe or something, and he starts going on about Norse mythology.
Now, this is literally
a bit like, what?
The first few minutes, and it's just boring.
Yeah,
they're talking. This is a kids' film. They should be focusing for kids, but they're talking way too much about this history of this mask, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But he's talking about Odin, or the All-Father, if you'd like, and his sons Thor, god of thunder, Balder, god of beauty, and Loki, god of mischief.
Yeah.
The one museum goer calls out by going, "Who's that ugly guy?" It's just real weird.
It's really awkward, isn't it?
It's just, and they kind of leave you there to laugh, and it's not funny. It's just really weird.
Like it needs like a laugh track or something in the background.
It's just so awkward.
Yeah.
Ben goes on to say that Loki was the black sheep of the family, always craving attention, with all the endless pranks he pulled, being a source of embarrassment to his family, stuff like that. Pretty deep for a PG kids film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very odd.
Felt slightly unnecessary.
Yeah, no, this whole scene is unnecessary, but yeah. While this is being said, we see a man's gloves touching all the weapons in the hall, and obviously we're supposed to wonder who this is.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
We then see Loki's tool of mischief, which is the mask that Stanley Ipkiss had in the first film.
Was it Loki's in the first film?
Not that. Yes, now that I'm thinking about it, him and Ben Stein in the first one have the conversation about the masks, and I'm pretty sure he says it does belong to Loki.
Oh,
But Loki's never really a prominent part of the first film.
No.
It's more just the mask gives you these powers.
Yeah.
The first one was
Similar to-
funny though.
Yeah, similar to you. I haven't seen it for quite a while. And when it was sort of like doing all this Norse mythology, this Loki's mask, I was a bit like,
Yeah,
I
no, I
don't
know.
remember this being the case, but
No.
yeah, fair, okay.
But yeah, he gets the mask and it looks awful.
Yeah.
Compared to the first film,
Yeah,
it looks
it
terrible.
is.
There is a reason why, but it just looks terrible. Whoever wears the mask will get the powers of Loki, it's said, and the man with the hat and the gloves moves closer and closer to the mask. It is said that Loki can shapeshift, even changing himself into a woman. Ben Stein is like really offended by that, and he's like, the way he says it is just so bizarre.
Did you hear what the guy says though? So the guy, there's obviously like the group that are sort of with them.
Yeah.
And he just kind of goes, "A woman, man alive, lock up your sons around that twisted piece of fruitcake, hey doc." What?
Yeah, I definitely put it here. A man goes on a joke rampage after hearing that.
It's just the strangest line, and it's just.
He thought it was
again,
so
it
funny.
was just like, I think even the cast gotta go, like
Yeah.
awkwardly sort of
Oh,
like,
the extras in this one are hilarious. But you've got to think the first film had that edge to it. It was an edgy comedy, but it still stayed in this lane. With this one, you'll find out, just goes some weird places. The tour guide said that Loki was such an embarrassment to his dad. He locked him up in chains, and then the guy in the hat and gloves didn't like it, and he screams, "He did not." Clearly Loki. We all knew that from the very second the film started, but that's Loki. Loki changes from a human form to a big green monster man, and he looks so plastic.
Oh, it's
It looks
so
like an
bad.
action
Yeah,
figure.
this was the first time you're like, it's
The
bad.
hair,
Yeah.
the marks, the green.
It just- yeah, it does kind of come from nowhere as well. Though. I didn't really expect him to turn all green. Like I kind of assumed that was the mask,
Yes.
but yeah, he doesn't actually obviously wear the
No,
mask.
he's just
turns green and starts. Yep.
Yep. What I will say though is I love Alan Cumming in his role.
Oh yeah, no.
I love him regardless of the film. He's amazing.
Yeah, no, he's great.
So good. Some really bad lightning and cloud effects kind of roll around him when he's standing there, and then he's got that real like 2000s haircut. Looks like he should be listening to Smash Mouth.
Yeah. It is mad anyway, isn't it? But obviously, when he turns into the mask,
It
just gets
It's so high, it's incredible,
Yeah.
and he's wearing that horrible looking armor thing.
Yeah,
It's awful.
Yeah,
All the museum goers flee in terror. The guide says, "Apparently, you don't agree with my theories." And then Loki steals the mask. And the camera edits in this bit are all over the place.
Yeah.
Like it's just cutting from one scene to another. It's almost like a horror film. It's
chaos, isn't it?
real weird. I said it's like being on drugs.
Yeah.
The mask turns out to be a fake, which is why it looked so bad.
Yeah.
Loki throws it at the tour guide's head, and it makes like a thunk noise, and he goes, "Ow! That's museum property," and it's just the most unfunny joke I've ever seen. But I was kind of sitting there giggling to myself just because of how bad it is,
So stupid.
and I just know as a kid I loved this. I thought this was hilarious.
I think this is the first time we sort of like we get you'll see a few more times where the mask is the joke is the mask is not the real one. So
Yes.
It's like
Oh, there's a
made in
few.
China,
Yeah.
made in Taiwan,
Mhm.
made in like the Philippines. So
Yeah.
this is
The joke just keeps going.
yeah.
Loki then takes the guide's face off, and you remember that Billy Bear ham?
Oh my god,
That's what that looks
no,
like.
It
It does.
It's so weird because it's like his head's still there, isn't
It
it?
goes-
And they've kind of just like do you know when they sort of like phase your
Yeah,
face
and he
out
looks like
to hide
looks
your
like
identity?
spam.
Yeah, and then it's just a little thin layer of his face just starts
Oh, it's
floating.
awful.
And again, it's just nothing, as if it's just something. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
dear.
get the joke is that he's got the most monotone voice ever. I really get it, but it's just not funny. And he puts the face in the cabinet, and it just looks awful, obviously. And he's so not funny, this guy, Ben Stein. Like, he used to be back in his old films, but this is just desperate. But yeah, that's just not it. It's just really bad. Police come in to stop Loki, and he grows these giant hands that he uses as guns. And obviously it looks terrible. It looks awful. But he's like shooting these giant hands around the police, and then they fall through the hole like some sort of Tom and Jerry sketch.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
That's 5 minutes into the film. This is all taking place in 5 minutes. He does the silly spinning move from the first one while shouting, "Where's my mask?"
Yes.
And it fades out like a TV show. Like just
Yeah,
fades
it does,
out. And I was like, this is a
Yeah.
film. This is a big
Yeah, 'cause
Hollywood
when he's
movie.
screaming, he's sort of like as if he's like shaking. His
Yeah.
head. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then off he goes. Like it's a bit weird, but yeah.
It's terrible. And yeah, that's the intro to this film. And I think it is awful. It's not funny, and it just comes across as super awkward.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's
Really weird.
It's just
isn't it? It's
bizarre.
an odd way to start the film, but yeah, we move.
We move into some sort of cottage, and we see the real mask floating in the river that I can only assume came from when Stanley throws it in the ocean in the end of the first film.
Yeah.
Even though they like to say this film's not linked to that one.
Yeah, man, it is.
It clearly
There's
is.
a lot of callbacks, isn't there?
Oh, so many. And the dog takes it out the river. Dog's called Otis.
Yeah, which again is a callback, isn't it? Because his...
Was that his name in the first film?
No.
Similar dog.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Because I did look this up. Because I thought that as well. I was like, oh, is it the same dog?
Yeah.
It was something different. I can't remember what it was, but I did check. But yeah, same thing, wasn't it? Where it's like the dog in the first one
Yeah.
took the mask.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's the callback.
The real mask looks a bit better than that one we saw in the museum, but it's still really not nearly as good as it was in the first one. I always wanted that mask one.
Yeah, it's quite cool. Right?
We see a baby in a crib, and here's we're introduced to the leads of the film. Tim Avery, played by Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
And Tonya Avery, played by Trailer Howard. What a strange name.
Oh.
Yeah, really
Nice.
weird name. I'm assuming they're just visiting the couple and their baby, and Tim looks absolutely mortified. Remind me of myself.
Yeah.
I was watching, I was like, oh, so I'm Tim.
Yeah. No, he hates the baby.
And he's
But
always got that stupid, like, freaked out look.
the
on his
children,
face.
though.
Yeah,
Oh.
we'll get to it.
God.
Yeah, the baby just
It's just a baby.
goes to the toilet, you know what I mean? And the mum goes, great poop. It's real juvenile and just super unfunny. And then there's 5 kids in this scene. 5 children. 4 like toddlers and the baby.
Yes, of course.
And then there's one of them, and he runs up to Tim, and he's in these underwear and a cape, and he just headbutts him
Captain Underpants.
in the
isn't he?
balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Captain Underpants dressed as him.
yeah, but was that a thing here? It must have been.
Yeah, I would assume like at least the books would have been out at this point.
Yeah, I guess so.
Um,
And then the dad of this kid goes, "What's your aim? He's gonna need those."
no.
It's a PG kids.
Yeah, there's a
movie.
lot of this. Though,
Oh,
isn't there?
it gets
there's a lot.
worse.
So, yeah,
But like, it's just so weird.
The one kid's got like this sort of like inflatable hammer thing,
Yeah.
and it's just hammering, like constantly just battering one of the other kids.
Yeah.
But the kid's not reacting. It's the most weird thing.
It's like they
just the
didn't know
kid
they were
sort of
being
stood
filmed.
there, like taking it, like not
Yeah.
reacting, and he's just getting hammered. And he's just sort of stood there, just taking it. It's really,
It's
really
like, honestly,
strange.
there's only so many times we can say this film is so bizarre,
so
but
weird,
it truly
like,
is.
Yeah, such a weird scene.
That dad then says to Tim and Tonya, "So when are you going to have one of your own?" And Tim has this like wild, wacky daydream Family Guy-esque clip.
Yeah, that's why I said the Family Guy.
It feels like Family Guy,
100%.
where Tonya is having a baby and then she just keeps giving birth.
Yeah.
And they're flying out
They're
of it.
flying out,
Actually,
and then-
they're catching them and passing them to him and he's got them all.
He's got them all, and then he picks them up and they start on fangs.
They got
There's that- They
fangs?
have these little
Yeah.
like vampire fangs and stuff. It's like,
And he starts screaming and then it's just like a bad Family Guy joke
Yeah.
that just goes on for far too long.
yeah, really
Pop,
weird.
pop,
Yeah,
pop, and they're like,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
boy,
yeah.
it's a girl, and he's like holding them all. Oh, it's terrible. It is awful. And yeah, the fangs, what's that about? I understand he's got a fear of these kids, but fangs?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Tim comes back to normal, kind of comes back around, and he's in the car with Tonya.
Yeah.
This is my favourite bit of the whole film.
Yeah.
And she's like shouting at him for freaking out over the kids. But that's not the real bit here.
No.
The real bit here is how he's playing the Game Boy Advance.
Oh,
So this is the game,
my
like
God.
nerd talk. It's the Game Boy Advance SP that closes
Yeah,
the
the
clamshell.
like small square
Yeah.
one, isn't it? Yeah.
So at first in the shot he's holding it normal.
Yeah.
Then you cut to the other camera and I don't even know, he's holding it like this.
It's about
It's half closed.
yeah, and it's as close to his face as you could possibly get. It's
Yeah.
like he's like blind.
Yeah, you hold the Game Boy like
he's-
this, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's holding it like this.
It's
And he's
like
got the
right
screen
up, yeah, it's
just like
right
that.
up to his face, and he's sort of like, you could tell obviously he's very obviously not playing.
Yeah, and
He's
it's
hitting all the
either
buttons.
Crash or Mario Kart. It's one of them.
Oh yeah, I think it was Mario Kart.
My God, I've never understood it. And like
It's so
the
weird.
amount of times I used to watch this as a kid, and I loved the film,
Yeah.
but this scene always, me and my brother would always be like, "That's not how you play the Game Boy."
What is he doing?
Like I grew up playing the Game Boy non-stop. So when I used to see the scene, it just would bother me. And it's like a 3-second scene, and it just stresses me out.
It's like how you would play it when in the dark when you'd be going home.
Yeah.
and you have to get the lights.
Yeah,
You'd have to get like as you go past the street lights, you have to play it. You was almost playing it like that, but it's broad day.
And it's just, I've
don't know
never
what's
understood
going
it,
on.
but it's super weird,
Yeah.
and surely that's gotta hurt. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And then he says, after seeing those kids, Drano seems like a good option. He'd rather drink bleach than talk about having kids with his wife because they're married.
Yeah, he's an awful human being.
Again, kids film,
Yeah.
and he says he'd rather drink Drano.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point we know Tim doesn't want kids, but Tonya does.
Hmm.
She tells him it would be someone to play video games with, and she steals the Game Boy from him and like throws it in the back of the car.
Yeah.
And then he grabs her face and starts going, "Who's a fish?" I don't know where this came from. He just starts like grabbing on her face.
He's like a giant child.
Oh, yes.
He's basically like a 5-year-old stuck in like a 30-year-old man.
Yeah, and I put very odd behaviour from people talking about whether they have kids or not.
Yeah.
He's like she's driving, right? And he's like grabbing her face and who's a fish? It's real.
No, it's very strange.
Really weird. I'd like to take this moment to point out how bad Jamie Kennedy is in this film.
Oh, yes.
Like, he was never the best actor, but obviously Randy and Scream, great. And he's just kind of been a pretty decent comedian his whole life. But I know he said he got paid $2.5 million for this, and I can clearly see it. But my God, he doesn't. There's no attempt. There's not even an attempt.
No.
It is the worst.
Yeah.
The performance is horrendous.
I mean, most of the performances are.
There's two performances I'd say I defend. The rest of the film, no, not a single one. Because Tanya's real bad, but Jamie Kennedy.
Oh, it's bad.
Painful.
It is a kid's film, which is kind of something we need to sort of remember. But it's like it was made for like 3-year-olds.
But then the content in the film would make you think it's a 15 and it's an adult's film. So that's where I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Tanya's annoyed. Tim doesn't want a baby right now. His reason being because. There's not a reason. He just goes because.
I hated that so much.
Yeah. Right. So this is another amazing scene. Otis, the dog, has a whole bedroom for himself.
It's amazing.
It's incredible. He's got a bunk bed.
Yeah.
He's got pictures of different dogs around. There's fake grass with a fire hydrant for him to pee against. Yeah. There's a hockey goal and a piano. I mean, I understand you love your dog, but that's bonkers. it's the bone wallpaper as well. A really nice little attention to detail, I guess, but it's just real bizarre.
It is weird, yeah. It's
and obviously,
full bedroom, isn't it?
Tim is like obsessed with this dog, and they're kissing each other, and he goes, "Thanks, pal. Your kissing is getting a lot better."
Yeah.
And he's full on like
very questionable. That is.
Yep.
Did you also notice though? There was a bit where they're on the sort of bunk bed, and in the background they had photos of him.
Yes.
And he had like a little green patch
I
on his
didn't
face.
notice
So
that.
you know, like he's got like the dog sort of is white, with like a sort of brown eye thing, like a patch over his eye. You can see in the photos behind it's green. So there's pictures of the green, so it was a bit of like
a bit of foreshadowing. That's nice, isn't it? Then when they're doing this and he says, "Oh, your kissing's getting a lot better," we like zoom into Otis's eye, and then we see Odin.
Yeah, that was weird.
Did you notice who played Odin?
Yeah,
Mario. That is Mario. That is Bob Hoskins, and I never noticed that until literally this time I watched it. Yeah. And he's screaming for Loki, and Loki is sunbathing on a beach.
What? How is this happening?
I don't even know. And I said I really love Alan Cumming in this role. The film is horrendous, but he is so much fun. Did you notice his like Speedo he's wearing?
Oh no!
He's got the mask all over it, like the actual mask just up. And I was dying at this. So funny, but yeah, when I realised that was Bob Hoskins. Very confused. But it makes sense for Alan Cumming to be in this kind of film after playing Floop in the Spy Kids movies.
This was after, was it?
Yeah. I think probably around...
It was around the same time?
You would have had Spy Kids 1 and maybe 2.
Okay.
And then I think 3 would have come out after it, maybe?
Yeah, because you kind of... It's a very similar role.
Very similar, even the way he dresses.
Yeah, especially to the first one when he was like sort of more of the villain, isn't
it? Yeah, it's real weird. The clouds in the sky part and Odin is asking about the mask. Odin looks really weird. Like the eye, he's obviously got no eye. Yeah. But he just kind of looks fake. Yeah, but then, fair play, I didn't notice it was Bob Hoskins, so maybe it's a good thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's really weird. Odin tells Loki to find the mask before he opens up a can of lightning on him. And
what is it with opening up a can of something? I swear this is like a reoccurring theme.
It's clearly like an American joke, and I get it, it's funny, but like they've always got to play on it somehow, and it's real weird. We're back with Tim and Tanya, who are still arguing. Tim is like an aspiring cartoonist.
Yeah.
He's currently drawing some new cartoons. They're pretty good. Yeah, and he wants his own show, and he's been working on it for 10 years and going nowhere. He says he needs more time for his work, but Tanya wants that baby now. Tanya demands that baby.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? She's obviously extremely against it, basically a big man child, and her whole personality for
I want a baby
is just give me a child.
Yeah,
I don't care how.
But like, I feel like these characters have never even spoke about it until today. Yeah. I mean, that's how it comes across. Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's like, no,
that's all
baby.
it is.
No.
Yeah.
Tim works for a cartoon company, but he's the mascot, and he's a tortoise. I can't remember what the name was. Torpedo Tortoise.
Yeah, because we have, so obviously before now, Tanya sort of explained she's like a managing director. She's obviously doing well. Yeah. He's a bit of a loser. Mm-hmm. Like he's sort of, I didn't really understand. He draws pictures, and he's sort of making a TV show.
I think he's making his own to pitch to the heads of the
It
studio.
was never really explained.
No,
he just
and
kind of randomly drew things.
Yeah, and he's just a loser.
Yeah.
But the voice he does as the tortoise is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Hey, kids! And it's like, he just keeps going on, and it's so annoying.
Weird.
And then Cal Penn is his friend in the company.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions. So obviously, yeah, we just cut to. He's like, and I'm just cut to torpedo tortoise. Yeah. So he's just, and it's a literal turtle. It's not like
and he's scary.
Cartoon. Yeah, it's not like a cartoon like animated.
No, it's not like TMNT or nothing.
So yeah, he's like a literal tortoise in like an animation studio.
Yeah.
But what is it? Because it's almost like a jungle gym for kids with like sort of like one of those.
Children.
Yeah, with an animation studio within it. It's like he's sort of a mascot, but I don't know if he's a mascot for
a show or the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could not figure that out.
This
is just something they threw in to be like, this is his job. He's a loser.
Yeah, but it's really weird, isn't it? Yeah. When you actually think about what he's doing, he's supposed to be an animator of some sort. So he's working in an animation studio, but the studio just has.
Well, I said no, I know. I assume it's like a take your kids to work thing. But
that's his job, don't it? So he is the mascot. So that's his whole job is the kids go to this animation
studio.
No,
actually, that didn't even enter my mind. Yeah, why is he a mascot at a studio?
I have no idea.
I'm assuming they do like tours or something for kids.
Yeah,
and he's that. Yeah. Well, anyway, we can talk about this for hours because that's real weird. So he talks to Cal Penn, and Cal Penn basically says that he should show the head of the company the portfolio for the animation thing. So dressed as the tortoise, he goes up to the head with the portfolio of cartoons. And he tells the head of the company his idea, and he doesn't care for it. The head of the company is so weird. He's wearing like that beret, he's got the hair, and again, he's super monotone.
Yeah, I know, there's another monotone. I didn't really understand
why is that funny?
Two monotone characters. Yeah, it was really weird. We also meet Chad.
Oh, yes.
It's not Chad.
It is Chad.
It is Chad.
I'm pretty sure it is Chad.
Yes, no, it is.
He's like the one that's going to jump in at any time.
He is
to kind of do it. The golden boy
of the Chads. Like he is the ultimate Chad. Nice. But yeah, he's also his friend's accent. What's the guy's accent?
Cal Penn.
I don't think he knows quite where he's going with it.
No, and obviously, I think at this point, all he'd really kind of done was Harold Kumar, and he's funny,
but he is. But it was like
clearly didn't care
really strange how he's kind of dipping between Indian accent and American accent,
and he's bro, dog, bro.
I was like, it's like a bit, there's a lot of like, what's he say? He tells him to hit my man up, bro, dog. I'm like,
I didn't write these down because I knew you would. They're absolutely horrendous. We're then back with Tim and Tonya back in their house, and he gives her a flipbook animation of him giving her his heart, and she loves it. She's like crying over it.
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be really sweet, but it's just weird. It's just I don't really care.
Yeah,
and the way this film jumps scene to scene, we're at this animation studio, now we're back home, and it makes no sense.
It was quite cool. Like
the way they did it was good. I'll give them that. That's where I like certain parts of this film is in the animation scenes, and when they're referencing old stuff, we will get to that. But yeah, the animation scene is decent, but it's just the way this film jumps from scene to scene, super jarring and weird. She then goes on to say he'd make such a great dad and blah, 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 blah. He's going to the company Halloween party, but Otis has ruined the mask he was going to take for the costume. So Tonya tells him to take the mask that Otis brought in from the river, a.k.a. the mask. This is the crappiest piece of crap in Crap Town, he calls it.
Yeah.
It's like they really wanted to be edgy to these kids. They couldn't swear, so they said crap. And they keep saying it through the film.
Yeah. I kept that line as well because it was.
It's the way he delivers it as well. Oh my god,
it's so weird.
So he heads off to the party and he's driving in the car and he goes to put the mask on. Obviously, it starts sticking to his face and he does that thing from the first one where he pulls it off and his face is all like stretching and stuff. Whatever, I can give it that because he's kind of going back to the old film. That's fine. He puts it back on. He transforms into this new alter ego and the leg stretches all the way from the car to the door, and it's like this. It's like a snake.
It's really weird, isn't it? Because obviously, going through the whole transformation is all
he's all whacking
going
around,
crazy, and it's all spinning around and that. But like, still somehow manages to drive the car perfectly. Like, drives this car just beautifully in, stops.
I feel like they did that in the original, but I can forgive it because the film was wacky from the beginning. Yeah. This film's been relatively normal, just weird.
Yeah,
but not like not wacky insanely, where the original is always really high energy and bizarre. This one's not.
Hilarious how he.
Yeah, it's super odd. So the leg comes up all the way through the door, and then he bounces to the door. He like goes like It's so weird. And then we see him for the first time. He's obviously got the green face. Nothing else green. And I think that was the original as well, so I get it.
Yeah, because he's in the yellow suit.
But the ginger hair.
What is it?
Why is it like a wig? Like a plastic...
It is... It's crazy looking, isn't it? It is literally like he's taken off some doll and just stuck it on his head. It's this plastic, like orange. Is it orange?
It's orange.
Orange.
Bright orange.
Sort of like slick.
It's like this, isn't it? Yeah. Like, who looked at that character and went, that's it. That is it. That's how we follow up The Mask.
I think in the original, because he's like, obviously he's bald and he looks silly.
He's got a huge head that he looks like Megabite.
Whereas in this one, it's as if, for some reason, they tried to make him cool.
They did.
And I really don't understand why.
No. So this is obviously the first time we see him as the Mask character, and it's awful.
Oh, it's awful.
It looks awful. And he's got this stupid voice.
Yeah.
What is that voice he does? So when he gets to the door, he goes, "Don't you just love Halloween?" And that's what he says it.
Yeah.
And it's like the least funny thing. Because obviously Jim Carrey, I know we can't keep comparing it to Jim Carrey, I get it. But he was so over the top, but he was still Jim Carrey.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could tell that. Where this is like almost like a different actor. I'm convinced it's a different actor.
Yeah.
Because it's just...
It's very odd. Because I think with Jim Carrey they're similar character traits. Whereas like they're both sort of losers, went up with the mask and it ended up making them cooler. But as you said, with Carrey's one, he was a lot more just an animated,
he was a cartoon,
silly version of himself.
Yes.
Whereas for some reason, because he even got like a bit of a chiseled chin.
Yeah, he's like a chap.
Like, yeah, it's as if they've just been like, oh, with the mask now, he's a cool like.
So he turns up in like this suit, doesn't he? He's in. It's almost a reference to the original again. Like they just can't stop. But then he spins around and transforms into a Halloween outfit with his own face and the ginger hair. And it did get a laugh out of me. It was pretty funny because he just pulls the mask off and it is the exact piece. And that kind of almost felt like they knew what they were doing. The one joke has landed so far. He's got that really weird voice. Yeah. It's really annoying, and they just keep throwing away these jokes about ID and like how he's the picture on the ID, and he pulls out an IV instead of the ID.
Yeah,
it's not funny.
No, there was so much going on, isn't it? They throw in like a million things all at once.
I understand the whole film's supposed to be zany and cartoony, but because it doesn't all feel like that, he pulls out the ID with his picture of the mask on. Yeah. Where do you get that from?
Yeah.
Where do you get that from?
Yeah.
And it would have worked in Jim Carrey's one. Yeah. Because that was the vibe for the whole film. This one hasn't had any of that vibe yet. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's pulling out IDs with his mask face on it. They get to the Halloween party, you get inside, and it is barren. There's like no one there.
Yeah, no, it's really strange, isn't it?
Is it Chad leading up the karaoke?
No, there's singers event originally. Yes. So there is like a little band on. They're almost similar to when they walk into just Star Wars. When they walk in, they've got like the sort of like the band. It's that sort of music, isn't it? Where they sort of just really dull, boring sort of music. Just
So you see Tim as the mask sees this girl and he thinks she's pretty fine. You know what I mean? So his eyes stretch over to her, and I do appreciate the kind of cartoon nature they're trying to go for here, but it just doesn't really work. And she's wearing this kind of not really skimpy outfit, but it's a bit revealing, just a tiny bit.
She's basically like a cat, isn't she?
Yeah.
So she's in like a sort of black dress with like whiskers.
And the quote here, "You better cover up, young lady. You might catch a chest cold." It's a random girl at the company. Like, surely that's harassment in this day and age. And again, it's a kids' film, and like I can let them go with any jokes they're trying to make, but they're coming across as really awkward and just weird.
It's really strange. I think especially because they've obviously built up the Tim and Tonya. A couple, because obviously the original he's single, so he is flirting. He's got cameras.
Yes.
But this one he's very much married, flirting, and then is not flirting. He sets her up with his friend.
Yeah, because he winds her up like a mummy, and then unwinds her. She goes spinning across the room. All they do in this film is spin, that's all they do. And then she's in like a revealing outfit there. Yeah, like super really, revealing. Like it's up to here.
It's like a red sort of leather.
Yes.
Like devil suit almost. And she basically lands in his mate's arms.
Yeah, and he's like, "Thanks, bro," or whatever he says. It's absolutely horrendous.
So weird.
So I think then Chad starts doing karaoke to try and liven up the place because it's garbage. But the mask kind of comes in and takes over, and he does. I don't know what the song's actually called. Can't Take My Eyes Off You.
Whatever. I think it is Can't Take
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So he does that song, but he keeps changing it up, and there's a rap bit.
Well, he starts off, like, for some reason, he just makes everyone sexy.
Yes.
So
spinning everyone around.
There's, like, a girl group up there. They're sort of maybe dressed as, like, zombies or something.
Yes.
There's nothing revealing.
There's nothing, no.
They're just, really standard zombies. And then he starts spinning them, and they turn these, like, sort of, like, mini skirts, and, like, they all just turn, like, into these sort of, like, sexy skeletons or something.
Yeah.
And then just starts busting out.
It goes on for like 5 minutes, and he keeps changing. Like he does like an Elvis-y cowboy thing.
Yeah, Elvis impression.
And to be fair to him, though, facial-wise, he looks like Jim Carrey in this scene.
He does.
It was really weird. I honestly thought it was like a cameo or something, but it's horrendous.
The Elvis impression is
the worst. I understand they go for a joke, but my God, it's painful.
I think unless, because obviously you can see he's dressed him. If he wasn't dressed as him, you would have no idea that it felt really unnecessary.
Oh, and I said it goes on for far too long. They have to do a rap number, obviously, because otherwise it's just not cool.
The country bit. The country bit was alright.
Yeah, all of it's just odd.
The country bit was the
best the moves bit. And stuff. I get it, but I said they're trying so hard to be the original film from where he did whatever song was in the club, which is so good.
Yes,
like such an iconic scene. There's so many musical moments in The Mask, and they're all great. In this, it's just awful. And Jamie Kennedy has nowhere near the level of charisma he needs for this kind of film.
I think they threw too much of this one, didn't they? I think originally it was kind of like it was a salsa-y song, wasn't it, throughout?
Yeah.
And then he kind of did little bits.
Yes.
Whereas this one, they just throw in about.
But again,
5 genres in like a 2-minute song.
You put Jim Carrey in that kind of role, and he's going to eat it.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I think we shouldn't compare, but it's hard not to.
No, it's very hard not to. The musical number goes on for ages, just so long, but the cars dancing, I really like that. That's great, because they kind of just sway, and that's a lot of fun. He goes home, still wearing the mask.
So did you notice well, right? So as he finishes the song, he just goes, "This is the part where you boogie. This is the part where you dance." And the song ends.
Yeah.
And they all just clap.
And I know,
it's like,
it's just awkward.
Why are you asking people to dance and to boogie and then end in the song? And they all just go, yeah. And then off he goes.
It's painfully awkward.
So strange.
But yeah, this part, he goes home, still wearing the mask, and he comes in the house and he goes, "Honey, I'm home." Because again, the monotone voice, he's got to be doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how to describe it, but...
So, yeah.
One sec. The mouth never seems to move in time with the voice. Have you noticed this when he's the mask?
Oh, no, I didn't notice that.
Never ever seems to go in time.
Oh, really?
I feel like it's a real bad dub. And they must have just edited it over the top when they finished. But it just doesn't work. And like most of the time he's moving his mouth and the voice is just off.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really look at the end to see if it was his voice.
Yeah, no, neither did I.
So there could have been a case of like it wasn't his voice.
Yeah.
And this is how obviously it must have been dubbed if you've noticed that though. But yeah, so this scene.
You want to take this scene?
Yeah, I'll take this scene. Go so yeah, obviously he spins all the way home to Tanya's. For some
reason,
his
house.
Back to his house. So for some reason she has no idea it's him. He doesn't have the same voice.
Yeah, didn't think of this.
Didn't have the same voice. Like clearly has like, complete different facial features, complete different hair. Yeah. Like it is. There's no way
this is not Tim Avery.
No, there is no way it could be him. So she just goes, "Oh yeah, no problem." So they have sex.
Yeah, it's a kids' film.
And it's. I mean, the sex isn't graphic.
No,
like it's just
you
just
see it happening.
And then so
you know it's happening
on top, and they go at it. And then, we get inside. So somehow, how this is worked, I don't know. But somehow, because he has the mask on, his sperm is green.
Yeah,
so
and
there
with the massive teeth, and they're like.
But not only this. So amongst the white sperm that's going either side, there's 3 animated green sperms that are basically fighting over getting to the egg.
Yep.
So they're all scrapping, and I think the main sperm ends up taking the 2 sperm out.
Yeah.
Winning the race, flying straight into that egg, burying himself in, and now she's pregnant.
She's very pregnant.
with a mask
baby. Now this whole scene made me feel super sick.
I mean, this has to have the Oscar-worthy moment.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you.
It is.
Because as far as weird as the film is, but it's more weird in the fact that the dialogue's so boring and, it's a bit undertony throughout, but this goes for the whole stretch. It just goes for it. And I was just like, as a kid, I probably never even got this, I'll be honest. I used to just, this fish. But like, watching it this time, I was like, so what is going on?
It makes no sense though. Like I know it's obviously a kid's film and it's not supposed to make sense, but again, it's a kid's film, so we're talking about sperms and eggs and this is how babies are born.
Yep.
But how...
And Tanya glows green. Don't forget that.
Yeah, no,
her stomach like glows green.
Yeah. But I don't really understand how amongst the human sperm he's managed to throw 3 giant like green sperms in there.
Obviously, the mask part has taken over. But
I'm pretty sure in the first one he has sex. Does he not? Is the mask?
I think it's implied, but you don't see anything near as explicit as this.
No, of course.
But I'm pretty sure it is implied. But this whole scene, and it kind of reminds me of Look Who's Talking. You ever see those?
No.
That film opens with sperm cells going through to the egg. That's the whole point of the film, though. It's about children. Bruce Willis plays the voice. But that's a 12. So it kind of fits. It makes sense. Yeah, this is a PG kids film with terrifying CGI sperm cells. Yeah. Very weird. Yeah. So the next morning, Tim is awoken by his alarm, doesn't remember the night before, doesn't remember the party, anything. The boss calls Tim up to the office, and he loved the Mask character from last night, even though it's the most boring character in the universe. I also need to add, this is the last time we see the Mask for a while.
Yes.
We don't see... This film is not about Tim's mask.
No.
And I get it, it's called Son of the Mask, I know where you're going, but my God, they real skimped on the Mask.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's barely. I mean, obviously
he comes back for the end now. Yeah.
You obviously have like Loki, who doesn't need the mask, and then
what comes on? Yeah, but it just feels like they had this idea for a character. It's not that good of an idea. I don't like the character, but I feel like if we'd seen him more, maybe I would have been like, oh, he's okay. Yeah. He's all right. But we just don't
see why a lot of big actors take it down.
Oh, 100%. But the boss loved the Mask character from last night, but Tim doesn't barely remember what happened. The boss thinks the character's a real seller, so he moves him up to the second floor to work with him.
You notice as well his hair. The boss's hair. Now,
looks like a poodle.
It looks like he's shaved the top of his head for this role.
Maybe, yeah.
Because if you looked at it, it's not like he's not bald.
He's wearing a hat, wasn't he?
No.
Oh.
It was his head.
Oh, I just didn't realise.
So he basically, but it looks as though like he'd had like a number 1 or a 0 on the top of his head. Yeah. But it looked like there was hair growing. So he's not bald. Got this big part. Yeah, so it's almost as if he literally just shaved like the whole top of his hair off.
Real
and just left the rest grow out.
I thought he was wearing a hat.
No, it was his hair.
That's real bizarre.
Really strange.
So Tim goes home, tells Tonya he's moved up to the second floor, and they both do this weird dance of excitement.
Yeah, this sort of.
And do you know what it reminds me of? This day and age when you have I don't know if you've seen the video, the girl on TikTok where the food arrives and she's dancing at the table, she's so excited, and she's 40 years old. Really reminded me of that, where he goes, "I've got a promotion," and they just do this
Yeah, they do a weird sort of little duck sort of
dance. It's so sort of awkward, and it goes on for 5 seconds. Yeah. And they wanted this to be cute. It's not. It's super awkward. It's weird. And then Tonya tells Tim that she's pregnant.
And he is devastated.
He is absolutely distraught. Super distraught. Tonya needs to throw up due to being pregnant. That's fine.
So they go to the doctors, sorry.
We've gone to the doctors in this time. Yeah. They're talking about the pregnancy. Tonya needs to throw up. She goes to spew in the trash can, and she spews. Bubbles. And they just start floating. And what in the Mask makes you spew bubbles?
I don't know, man.
I understand the sperm cells were all zany and weird. Yeah. Does that mean she's got to spew bubbles up into the air?
At least make it green, or make it
violent green spew would have been not nice, but funnier. That made more sense.
Because even he's sort of, is this normal doctor?
No,
it isn't.
No.
Okay.
So weird. So we get this little montage now of Tonya being pregnant and whatever's going on. Yeah. She's getting really weird cravings because of the Mask sperm. Yeah. So quirky like that. Yeah. And she eats silly string on a cracker.
Yeah,
and she's and she's loving it. And it is. There's only so many times I can say this film is weird.
We also get the baby scan. So
is that this bit?
Yeah. This one was in the montage. So we get a baby scan where, for some reason, whenever Tim looks at the baby, it starts doing. It's almost.
It's the reference to the first film when he's got the little, and he starts doing the dance with the maracas.
Yeah, doing the little. And then every time, obviously, as soon as he looks away, as soon as
Tonya looks at him, he stops. And doesn't he do a break dance or something? It's horrendous. In the meantime, Tim is storyboarding this new green Mask character for the boss. It's really not going well because he doesn't remember what happened. The baby's born super fast. This whole scene just flies by.
9 months just go by.
I mean, it's probably not 9 months realistically because of that sperm. I'm assuming it probably cut it in half or something. I don't know. No, baby's born. Is a boy. His name's Alvy. And it's a baby. It's there. Tim talks to the baby as if he's 30. And again, remind me of myself, because I don't know how to talk to children. And he's like, "Hey, I'm your dad." And the kid starts crying, and Tim just doesn't know what to do. It's real weird.
Yeah, it was kind of confusing that it was just a normal child. I know.
Well, we get later on, obviously, but surely should have come out with some sort of defect or something. Yeah,
it would have at least looked a bit odd, but it is just a
normal baby. It's a big baby. Then we see Odin again. I can't remember how we get to this point, but
I think
doesn't it go into an eye again?
I think it goes into the baby's eye or baby's mouth or something. And
it is something weird like that. Yeah. He's tamping because the baby was born with a mask. And I said, fair play to this point. It does not look like Bob Hoskins at all. So fair play to the makeup department, because he looks not like him at all. I don't know if he looked good, but it doesn't look like Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, no, he almost looks like. Do you know Lord of the Rings? Do you know in the second one when he gets up to the king who's been all like taken over and is all like decrepit and bearded and all that? He looks a bit like that.
Yeah, I said I don't know if he looks good, but he doesn't look like Bob Hoskins unless it's a different actor playing the part. But respect where respect due. Loki's out mask shopping again. He thinks he finds which one is his. It's fake again. I think it says made in Pakistan this time. And he smashes it. It's pretty funny. Again, whenever Loki's on screen, I'm having a decent time. And I really want to look as cool as he does in this film with the hair and the jacket. Sick.
I mean, just
cool. The store clerk gets overtaken by Odin. But not body-wise, just voice-wise. And he's acting like it's super smooth.
It's the first time he does it as well, and it's really strange.
Yeah.
It's done pretty well, considering...
The actor playing the store clerk, awesome.
Yeah, he's really good. Because, he is just a normal guy, and with Odin's voice and doing the whole...
Bob Hoskins' voice performance, real good too. Good. Yeah. Weirdly good. Probably better than... No, not as good as Mario. But, yeah, Odin says that Loki should be more like Thor and less like Loki. Pretty harsh. And then we go back. No, sorry. Odin tells Loki to find the baby and to find the mask.
Yeah.
So that's where Loki's going to be doing.
He's obviously in the store. I think he grips him. Doesn't he hold him by the throat or something? Or he has him, doesn't he? And then you can just see some people in the background just a bit sort of like,
what's going on in there? The mask shop.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, but yeah, fair.
So now we're back with the Averys again, and Otis has been moved out of his king-size bedroom into a small little dog house.
They just booted him straight out, didn't they?
So one time I feel sorry for the dog person.
And he took didn't he have like a little Odin's room or something? Yeah, left it next to his cat.
Sad one. Tim calls the baby Double A. Because his name is Alfie Avery, Double A.
I hated it.
Like a battery.
I hated it.
Double A.
I hated it.
It's just awful. Who the hell wrote this?
I hated it so much.
Yeah, and I thought you would.
It didn't. I think it's only used maybe one or two other times.
He says it towards the end. I'm pretty sure he does say it towards the end. I think there's another point where they say it as well.
Yeah, so it's not used a lot, thankfully.
No, but whenever you hear it, bolts through your body, then it's so bad. Alfie's already counting. I don't know how much time's gone past since the birth.
The perception of time in this film is all over the show.
So apparently the mask makes him like super smart.
He almost looks like a toddler at this point. He could be like 1.
He might be 1. He might be like 6 months. He might be newborn. I don't know.
Like hair and stuff.
Yeah,
it's been months. How many? Don't know.
Tim can't find the mask.
Yeah.
Tonio's blowing up a balloon for Alfie, where he puts his thumb in his mouth and starts blowing on it, and his head blows up like a balloon. God.
So this is the first time when we see the baby
has powers.
Yes,
the mask powers.
So, you have the child. It's just it's quite a normal-looking child. And it cuts back, and it's the most blatant CGI. Like, the baby turns into a weird.
Oh, he's like plasticine kind of.
Plasticine looking.
It's disgusting.
Looks like. Remember the child off the Twilight? Have you seen that?
Looks
exactly like that baby. Doesn't it? That really weird CGI.
And I get this was like 2005, 2006, so the CGI maybe wasn't as polished as they wanted to be.
But it makes it really obvious, because this is a thing then throughout the film where...
Plus, there's another CGI character that looks 10 times better.
Yeah, no, there is.
So...
But yeah, I think this is the first time where you really see the actual CGI baby, which is probably the most terrifying thing.
Oh, it's horrendous. He really blows up wide. His eyes are all fake, and he just blows up.
The animated bits are not as bad
compared
to when they try to make him look like a human.
I completely agree. Yeah, so those bits when just before the animated scenes where he's turned CGI...
something
scariest things. It's it's real disturbing. Yeah. But yeah, Tonya looks back around. He's back to normal. She didn't see it, but Otis did.
Yeah.
Now I love this next scene. I really do genuinely love this next scene. So Loki's going around trying to find babies born on the day of whatever. The baby was born on this day, so he's going to find the babies born on that day. That's what I was trying to say. And he's a bee going through the hospital.
But he's like
a big,
thick green bee
with these huge teeth.
Yeah.
And when they do stuff like this, I'm into it. I do enjoy it because they really kind of again harken back to the original of just being so ridiculous. But they almost more reference like the comic books where he's real zany. Do you know what I mean? And I really like this bit. So he's going on the maternity ward trying to find Alfie, and he lands on this lady and like stings her in the ear. How the hell she didn't see him coming? He's like this big.
Well, this is really weird, isn't it? Because he stings you in the ear, so you're a bit like, oh, is he killed her? Or is she deaf? Like,
and she's like,
because she sort of and she leaves like just long enough. So it's really weird where you kind of think like, oh my god, like he's hurting, like he's taking her out. But
so he prints off the baby's born on that day and with the addresses.
So he transforms into her.
Yes, and he transforms into her, downloads the list, prints them off, and then she comes back. Who are you? You? Me? Who? Such a funny scene.
So weird,
it's bad, but honestly, this scene absolutely tickles me. It's probably the best scene of the whole film. I literally love this whole scene.
It's so weird, yeah, because like
it's hilarious.
It's hilarious how like she goes away just for enough time for him to transform into him, like get all the baby stuff, and then comes back and literally just
that exchange between them. Perfect. Yeah. So funny. We get a little montage of the baby waking up through the night because we're back at the Averys again because we can't stop jumping. Tim's getting up to sort it. It's just boring. It's just a really boring scene. And again, this is where you feel you need a mask character because it is boring. This is just a film about parents and a baby. And I don't care.
There is a really weird bit at the end of this though, where he basically tries to kill the baby.
Yeah. So he's trying to feed the baby, and he gets a bit tired, and he goes to feed the bottle, but he's so tired that he picks up the lamp next to the bottle, smashes it, and goes to put it in his mouth. The baby goes all animated again and starts screaming like a Looney Tunes character. It's harmless, but it's just like they're really trying to reference so much other things in this film. They're trying to reference Roger Rabbit. They're trying to reference the Looney Tunes. They're trying to reference Tom and Jerry and The Mask. There's so much going on. And this scene is just bizarre. It's weirdly dark and just odd. Tonya tells Tim she's getting sent to New York for a week with work. And he screams because he's got to watch the baby. Like he is...
I don't know if this was like a thing throughout, but this is the first time I probably noticed. They have like a fast-forward bit. Have you seen this where... So I think he was in bed, wasn't he? And then he does like a real and
he like speeds up, and speeds up. I think this is the only time it happens.
Was it the only time?
I'm pretty sure.
It's really strange way. He just sort of like shoots up.
And I don't even think it was purposely done. I think they just messed up because it doesn't look right.
No, it looks odd, doesn't it? Yeah, it's like they put it in like 1.5 speed or something.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too fast.
Yeah.
So he's screaming. He's not happy. Tim goes into work to get his work, and the boss tells him it's fine to take the week off, but unfortunate timing as the other heads want to see the Green Guy cartoon by the end of the week. So he says he'll put Chad on it. Chad is taking over. Tim says he's going to work from home to get it finished. He promises it's going to get done. Tonya leaves for New York and tells him everything he's got to do for the baby, as if he hasn't been there like the whole time.
Again, like this baby is months older.
And I understand that mums have a very different relationship with their newborn baby. I totally understand that, but it's just weird.
It is weird.
You got to do this and this, and you got to sing him this, and you got to read it.
And he just keeps going. Take him with you.
Yeah,
take him with you.
Take him.
Please take him. Just take him. Do you want to take him?
So
just have
weird.
the baby.
Like he just doesn't want his own son. And I said I don't
father.
understand the whole children thing, but like even I wouldn't do that.
No.
Please, you got to go to work. Take the baby.
Yeah, he's
horrible.
What
on earth is he doing? Yeah. It's real weird. So Tim says he can't do this, and he's like, as we said, he's trying to get him to take the baby. It's real weird. The baby's always crying. Constantly crying, and we haven't seen the mask in ages. I've written down here because I was getting impatient. Tim gets a phone call. Work need him to come in so they can see the new drawings. Alfie says "Mama," and this is the scene. Tim tries to get him to say "Dad." He's like, "Say Dad, say Dad." He's like really stupid with it, and he says "Mommy," and then "Mother."
But it's like
in like a man's voice.
Yeah, so the whole time go "Mama, Mama," and he goes "Mother,"
and like as like a 10-year-old, I can see myself going loving this scene, but now I was just like,
I just find it hilarious how like he hates the child, but then he's so salty about the fact that this baby said "Mama" before "Dada."
Like, why do you think he has? Because you hate him.
You treat him like garbage.
It's such a strange scene, and that's not even the only time it happens. No, we get it later again. But we flip back now to Loki, who's going around different houses. Again, I can't help but enjoy these bits. He's trying to find the masked baby, and he goes to this first house as a vacuum salesman.
Yeah.
It's so weird. He's kind of dressed like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
He's very similarly dressed, but I really love the design of the vacuum.
It's quite cool.
It reminds me of Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
You know, like all the wackiness of that.
It's like a cupboard. But there's it's like a giant, like almost like a,
and it grows. It's huge. It's awesome.
Yeah.
He vacuums up the mum. Yeah. It's pretty funny. And then he gets the baby, and this baby's ugly. Oh, this is an ugly child. He's huge. He looks like a potato. He's huge. he grabs the baby. So it's like flipping him around, and he goes, bend, morph, shapeshift. And he's like throwing the baby around. And honestly, if it wasn't for Alan Cumming in this whole film, I couldn't finish it, but he is so funny in this
I
film.
sort of like realised at this point that it's really sus. This man is literally going around
babies' houses and picking them up and trying to do stuff with them.
Yeah, just like
Oh,
messing
God.
around with babies. But that poor woman, I mean...
Yeah, he's vacuumed up the mum.
I think the mum's...
Dead? Probably dead.
I mean, probably dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few parents that he probably kills.
Oh, it's such
throughout
this scene is comedy gold, though. I literally love it so much. It wasn't the right baby, obviously.
Yeah.
So he moves on.
Just shaking babies up.
He's literally like flipping them upside down. So funny. Tim is at home trying to finish his work, but Alvy keeps messing up by like throwing food on it and doing baby stuff. So Tim puts him in front of the TV. Man's best friend.
Yeah,
Man's
of
best
course.
friend. Alvy sits there, so Tim goes back to work. Alvy's watching the Flintstones, just another thing they reference because
There's
they
a
just
lot of cartoons.
this is where the cartoonness then comes into it, and sees Bam Bam doing the whole hammer thing.
Hulk smash.
Gets a bit of an idea in his brain because this kid's smart. Now Otis, this comes out of nowhere,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it. Otis puts on the mask.
So he must have dug it up.
He had it, didn't he? What did Tim do with it after the party?
I think Otis... it's never really
It's never
mentioned.
explained,
I think... Because I'm pretty sure Otis digs it back up.
Yeah, I think
So I
so.
think what must have happened is Otis must have taken it. Or maybe, because I think when he's fallen asleep, and he has the mask in his hand, so he might have dropped it,
Yeah,
maybe, and
I
Otis
honestly
took it.
can't
But
remember.
yeah, Otis dug it, I'm assuming,
Yes.
and digs it back up.
Puts it on his face, and we get the dog mask character, and I really like this
Looks
character.
really good.
Yeah, to be fair, the CGI is really good,
Yeah.
and he does feel like something straight out of Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry. With like it's almost like Dastardly and Muttley with the thing. It's very funny. I do like it. Yeah. It's very Looney Tunes-ish. It's nothing like special, but in a really bland and unfunny film, it's real standout. It's a real good scene. His intro is him saying "smoking," like in the first film. Unfortunately, they just couldn't help but reference it.
Of course.
Fine, I can get on with it. Whatever. Yeah, talking of old school animation, that's another positive film for me. It really does show a lot of love and respect to those old shows, Looney Tunes, because Looney Tunes is playing on the TV now. And as I said, they really wear their love of cartoons on their sleeve here. And Alvy's watching the frog dance. Remember that bit from So that's a real funny Looney Tunes bit. He's watching that. Tim is asleep. Alvy's still watching Looney Tunes, and he gets a daydream of Tim in prison.
No, in an asylum.
In an asylum, yes.
So yeah, basically the animation is this frog is singing frog, like it's a singing dancing frog.
Yeah.
And there's only this one guy can see it, so he keeps going around
and showing people,
and then as soon as they open the door, the frog stops. It just does riveting. And then it ends then with the man in an asylum and the song and the frog is
doing the
is in there singing with him like, and it's so he drives a man insane. And this is now what's his name, Alvy?
This is Alvy's big idea. But the daydream of Tim in prison is flawless. Yeah. It's like a cloud above Alvy's head, and Tim's supposed to be like grabbing onto these bars, but there's clearly nothing there, and his hands are just like floating. Oh my
He's just sort of doing this, isn't he?
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It is so bad.
Yeah.
Then Otis gets a cartoon daydream of him putting the baby into the cannon with a lot of explosives, firing him away. Awesome.
Great.
Loved it.
Really good.
Really harkens back to Baby Herman from Roger Rabbit. Really reminds me of all that. Looks awesome. Because Otis wants to be the centre of attention for the family again and for Tim specifically because they're best friends. Mm-hmm. Tim is so tired, he keeps ruining his work. Man's just absolutely lost it at this point.
Yeah.
For all the positives I just had, the film goes back to being really bad because Alvy does the frog routine from the Looney Tunes in front of Tim with that horrifying CGI.
Yes.
It is so scary, uncomfortably scary. It's bizarre. Then he turns into Woody Woodpecker and does the laugh. The full Woody Woodpecker.
He starts flying around the house as well, doesn't he? He starts
running around the walls, and that's what he does. And Tim's just watching him go. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Tim calls the police and says his kid is bouncing off the walls. The line delivery is so awkward. He's just like, my kid.
He's bouncing off the walls.
It's just so.
They hang up. The police just being like,
yeah, another crazy one. Okay. It's just so weird. Yeah. Baby starts doing the Looney Tunes thing again, and the actual audio of the bit comes out of him. Yeah, it's the sound of the clip out of his mouth, and I'm just like, weird, I didn't know the mask is like a speaker. Do you know what I mean? This mask can do anything in this one. In the first one, it was kind of a bit more.
I guess you can excuse it because it is the mask.
He is the mask.
Yeah.
Tim takes the baby to the neighbour to show that
he does.
like he isn't going mad. So screaming at the baby, like he is screaming at this kid.
Yeah.
He's like, tell him to do the dance, tell him to do what he's doing, and like Jamie Kennedy just comes across as like bizarre. In this
Horrible.
film.
Yeah, no, he is.
And,
He
like,
is horrible
it's
throughout the
just-
film. But yeah,
I can't even imagine this film with like Jack Black.
no.
Can you imagine? Like he'd probably be
Yeah.
like, come on, man, but like.
Yeah, it'd be a bit
Jamie Kennedy is like in his face, screaming at him. Like, surely they didn't have the baby on set doing that because that's bad. Like, you know, it's
And
real.
obviously
Weird.
the neighbours sort of look at him, just like
Oh, the neighbor is concerned.
really
You know what I mean?
concerned.
We're back with Loki. He's a plumber. This bit is again pretty funny. He kind of walks in the house and you see the guy whose house it is with the plunger on his face. And he's like trying to pull it off.
Again, though, he's very blatantly killed him.
Yeah,
Like
he can't
this,
breathe.
Yeah, this plunger is over
He's, like,
his
trying to
entire
rip it
face.
off.
Like,
It's not
he's
coming
just-
off.
He's just killed another man.
Another funny baby moment. Picks
Yeah.
up the baby again. They're all ugly babies. I
Yeah,
don't know
they
where
are.
they found these kids. Hook me up. Show me the magic. It's so good. Honestly, anytime he's doing any of this, it is hilarious. And then we're back then in
We're back in the house.
Avery's house. Alvy has thrown a fax machine at Tim while Tim is trying to give him juice.
Yeah.
Like, oh, drink your juice.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Alvy throws a fax machine at him. It's really weird. Alvy picks up Tim by the leg
Smash, like,
and like lifts him up.
yeah.
No problem.
No, 100%.
Jamie Kennedy just kind of lifts.
Yeah.
And he does the bam bam slam.
It's so Avengers must have
Yeah.
taken this straight from there. It's hilarious as well that it was Loki this happened.
Yeah, I didn't even
but
think of that. Yeah.
'cause it is the literal scene of
Yeah, no, it is Hulk. Yeah, you're absolutely
smashing
spot on.
him. Just,
Oh, it's so bad. Like the
Yeah.
effect here
Oh,
is
no, it's
horrendous.
it's when he's floating, isn't it? Where you can kind of see that he's like he was clearly just stood there and
Yeah.
he just kind of like
He's clearly just going on his
raised it.
tiptoes.
Yeah.
It's so
really
bad.
strange.
Otis gives him a rattle with explosives in it, and I love this dynamic of the baby and the dog.
Yes,
Love it. Like genuinely, for all this film sucks,
Yeah, it's
these
this,
parts-
yes, the explosive.
real good. So he gives him the rattle, and Alvy pretends to blow up
Yeah,
because he can do that.
yeah, he does a
Because he's a
with his
cartoon.
mouth,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
He throws a bone out for Otis, which is dynamite. Otis burns like Tom and Jerry, like kind of goes all disintegrative. I said the parts of violence between the baby and the dog are real entertaining.
Yeah.
It might just be the fact that I literally love Tom and Jerry so much.
Yeah,
so much that if I didn't, I'd probably hate this, but it works. It
No, it
really
does.
works in this film.
They are psychopaths.
We're back with Loki. We're back with Loki again because it just
this
never
is the
stops.
most terrifying.
He's a Girl Scout selling cookies,
Oh,
and he's got the
God.
braces, and he's like a little girl. And he's got this blonde like ponytail.
It is terrifying.
So
isn't it?
bad.
I'm pretty sure he's got like sort of 5 o'clock
He's got
shadow.
and he's got that thing. You know the brace thing that goes around
right
your
around
head.
the head. Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's terrifying.
Oh, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
But then we don't even see him go into this house.
No, you just see the brownie bit.
We just flip back
Yeah.
to the Averys. It's so weird. Tim tries to get Alvy to say "dada" again, but now he says "madre."
Is that like
It's mum in Spanish.
Spanish? Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, I kind of assumed it was.
Yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
I really wish I was making that up,
Yeah.
but he just goes
Madre. Yeah.
again.
I think before this also didn't we get the Otis the blueprint bit? Was it
This
around here?
I think this is
Or was it
next.
just- yeah. Yeah. So I think we get like a bit now where Otis is basically again like planning to torture this child.
Yes.
But yes, we get like a blueprint of him, and then you can kind of see where he's basically like hooks him to a rope, and you
Yeah.
can just see him. But I thought the like animation for the blueprint was really
Great.
really
I
cool,
said there's
like,
so much.
really
There
cool.
is some real greatness in
Yeah.
this film. I just don't know what they were planning around the rest of it.
Yeah.
Otis is sneaking around the house with the mask on, doing the kind of tiptoe.
Working.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty funny. Clad with a plunger and other tools. This
Yeah.
is where we're getting to what you just
Yeah,
mentioned.
yeah, yeah.
He walks past Tim.
Yeah.
The line from Tim here is the worst part of the whole film. He looks at him and he just goes, "No, no."
No.
Don't know. I really don't know what's going on here. It is horrendous. But I like,
The dog's good.
but like the second-hand cringe I got from this scene, it is
Yeah.
just the worst. Jamie
Yeah.
Kennedy has got to be like the worst actor.
Yeah.
We get more of the dog baby violence. Otis attaches a rope to Alvy connected to the cable van outside.
Yeah.
Alvy then sneaks it onto Otis, and Otis goes flying. Eyes pop out of his head and
Oh,
follow him.
Yeah, no, that
So
was,
good,
that was
so
really
good.
Yeah,
Major guilty pleasure scene here.
Yeah,
Tim
yeah.
is like confused because the house is getting absolutely obliterated
Yeah, so
at this
they're
point.
like, the dog is just getting dragged.
You'd
throughout
think
the
this would be just like a
entire
cartoon
house,
scene and like everything else would be fine, but no, the house is getting obliterated. The
Obliterated.
stairs are all
Yeah.
breaking.
He
It's-
lands in like the piano at one point,
Yeah,
and then like because he keeps getting dragged, he like drags to the piano. The piano goes upstairs,
Mhm,
with him,
breaks
he
all the
just smashes
stairs.
through the staircase.
it's bonkers. bonkers.
It goes through a vent at one point. It comes out as a little like
Yeah.
square.
Yeah.
It's tarred and feathered.
Honestly, this is a great scene. It's a lot of fun. I hate Tim being there, but the rest of it is so good. But the baby just looks awful. It's so. I just don't understand how they did the CGI dog so well.
Yeah,
but
I guess because they kind of made the dog a cartoon because he has the mask on. They just made him into a cartoon dog. Whereas with the baby, they're still trying to mix between it's a child and it's the mask. But it's all over the shop. But yeah, it kind of ends with him as going through like a little pastry roller.
Yeah, and then he's got the little white flag to surrender
and
to
then the baby
Alvy.
blows him up to and then just shoots him off. And I think he loses the mask, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it comes off. Doesn't it?
So he shoots him off and the mask drops. Yeah.
Yes. And then, mask comes off over his, and then we get the scene. The scene of the film.
Oh, God, yeah. Sorry.
So Tim is trying to change this kid's nappy, right? And no one wants to do that, but as a parent, you've got to. I don't even know how to explain it. Alvy starts peeing in every single direction.
So it starts.
It's like
it's a very typical like scene from So he starts peeing on him, and it's like, that's cute. It's kind of funny. And the next thing, another stream starts coming, and then next thing, another stream starts coming.
It's only about 6.
It's just these like 3 streams of pee coming out, which is just. How?
Not good.
I don't really understand.
Take that kid to the doctor. But yeah, there's like 6 pee streams at this point. Yeah. Absolutely soaking Tim. He is like covered in it. He then stops, and a massive like jet stream
just gets blasted.
Of just pure pee hits him in the face, and he is dripping. And honestly, if it was just the one bit, like you said, just the one stream, I'd be like, oh, that's funny. That's fine. Yeah. But they really overdo it, and it is like the least funny thing in the world. It's just mega cringe. Yeah, and it's just like, you're just sitting there, and you're like, who thought of that? Because it gets to a point where it goes from funny to just uncomfortable, and that is where they take it, and it is super, super weird. Sorry, I got lost in my notes. So we're back with Loki after that. He finally finds the right house. So Loki's arrived at Tim's.
He's a delivery man at this
point. He's like a UPS man, and the box has the big glove in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, so he drops a box off.
Yeah, picks up Alvy, starts shaking him, spinning him again to see. Tim gets knocked out by the big boxing glove in the box, and Loki just leaves.
Yeah.
Doesn't take the kid, just leaves.
No, just leaves.
It's real weird. Yeah. Jamie Kennedy is just screaming at the baby again, just in the face. And Alvy starts whispering into his ear. I can't remember what he says.
No, because what was it? I think he's talking. I think Tim's talking to himself, and then the baby.
Yes, he's saying you're going insane or something like that.
Yeah, and then the baby starts using Tim's voice in his ears, and starts speaking to him, saying like, something along those lines.
It is, it's real weird. Really, he's like this. He's like proper cartoon.
Yeah, like, really strange. Like
super weird. Loki is outside. Loki's got the coolest car I've ever seen in my life. The black slick thing. It's awesome. While Tim puts Alvy...
So Tim... I think Tim gets a call, doesn't he? And they're like, you've got to do the presentation now.
Yes.
So Tim's got to take the baby to go to work to do the presentation.
Is it this? Or I thought he was taking him to the hospital.
No, it's going to presentation.
So they reference The Exorcist with Alvy's head spinning around in the car and the green spew. Why didn't they just use this joke earlier?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
This is like
it's a bit of an odd reference, though, isn't it?
Again, a kid's film where The Exorcist is...
And I mean, I think... As a child, I don't know how you always watched it, so I don't know how you felt about that, watching a child's head spin around.
Yeah, I was probably horrified.
It's a bit, because it is the full,
fully goes right, and then it goes right around.
And then spews.
And again, the CG, because it's so uncomfortably bad, it just looks awful. Yeah. Loki realizes... follows Tim, realizing what had just happened,
he sees the spew,
and he's like, okay, that's my baby. Yeah. I keep referencing how much I love the way Loki looks. The jacket, he's class, he's great. Loki's interrogating Tim, asking, where's the mask? And he says, maybe this will jog your memory, and pulls out like a giant cartoon axe. And then the axe comes out, and the axe grows arms holding guns. It's pretty funny, but again, it's trying so hard to be Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, so I think at this point he's followed them, hasn't he?
Yes,
he's followed them. So they're in New York as well. No, you're in what's it called? Edge City. So they're in Edge City now, and then so there's a bit obviously where they kind of get out as well, and there's like a parking attendant. He's just hey, you got to pay a ticket, man, and he just starts following them all the way down, and then obviously he kind of catches up to Tim, and then we get the big.
I said there really is moments of good humor in here, but it just goes terribly wrong all the time. So he's holding this axe, and Odin tries to stop him. I think he shouts at him, something like that. No, someone turns into Loki. It's the shop assistant, comes back as Odin.
Isn't it not the parking assistant?
It's the parking assistant. That's it. Sorry, yeah. Apparently, I was just loving this whole scene. Parking assistant takes him down, and he's Odin. He's like grabbing onto Loki. Loki escapes his grasp and like runs after Tim. And again, I noticed the mouths just don't move with the voice.
Oh, I didn't see.
It was the parking assistant. I think it's whenever they have to dub over a voice. So I'm assuming Jamie Kennedy does not play the mask. Because it's whenever they have to use a different voice.
Yeah, I didn't notice this as much, but yeah.
This is incredible. Tim running through the alley. Do you see how he's holding the kid? So he's like running like this. It's a doll, and his legs are like flying, and he's like running like this.
Like he's gonna score a try. Like he's pegging it down
the ring. He's like sprinting. The baby's like flying everywhere, and I was dying laughing at that scene because his legs are like this. It's hilarious. Loki comes into the hallway and like seals off one side with that giant wall.
Yeah,
and
do you see
the graffiti?
Oh,
Loki is a god in the sack. It's a PG kids movie.
It's a god in the sack. Wow.
That's what I mean. Like, it's so uncomfortably weird. They want to put these jokes in for the adults going to watch it, but oh my god, yeah, very uncomfortable. Yeah. Loki wants to mask off Tim. Tim says the dog ate it,
which I mean, it's slightly accurate, really, but it's a bit.
It's the way my dog ate it.
Yeah, it's a bit. Odd.
So Loki says, if you want to do this the hard way, be it.
This is the first time we have this sort of reference.
Yeah, while we open the box that says the hard way on it. Really funny. And he pulls up this like giant grenade. Yeah. It's this bit's funny. I do like this bit. If Tim wasn't in this bit, it'd be better. Alan Cummings like really weirdly committed to the role of Loki.
Yeah, he's having a great time.
He is. He's having a blast. But again, playing Floop, I assume probably really got him ready for something like this. The baby forms a shield. Like his hands come out like this, and he
just sort of makes like a big
and it's like it almost looks like the Warner Brothers shield.
Yeah,
that's him. He's like this. Loki's green again, and he's holding the sun. It's like a big ball. It looks like the sun, which I'm assuming is the sun. Odin takes over Tim, and Jamie Kennedy's acting in this whole scene is the worst. Like everyone else who's been playing the part of Odin in their body has been good. Yeah. Oh my god, he's awful. Loki is stripped of his powers because he didn't get the mask back in time and is banished from.
He's banished to the mortal world, which I'm assuming just makes him
on
mortal.
Earth. Yeah, he's just on
takes
Earth
all his
now.
powers off him.
Yeah. And the hair kind of goes.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny. Alvi gets these massive, like stretchy arms.
Yeah, so this was a bit weird. So obviously, at this point now, Loki is a human. A man.
2 bins.
And he gets like 2 just giant bins and just crushes him.
Swishes him.
And he takes it.
He does it.
He's a bit shaky. But yeah, I think he would be dead.
I thought he'd be dead too. Yeah, he shakes, lands in the bin, and Tim at this point he's gone crackers. He's lost it.
Oh yeah,
his mind has snapped.
Yes.
He's gone.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. He turns up to work to pitch the idea for the Green Man cartoon, but he's so like fried and gone, he can't even talk.
Yeah, because they ask him that he basically freezes, and then they go, "Where have you been?" And just goes, "I just met Green Loki." And the guy, the boss, who's still monotone, is just sort of like, yeah, okay.
Where's the cartoon?
Pitch it then.
Yeah,
come on then. Weird. Yeah, really. But we don't see it. We don't see the pitch.
No, we don't see the pitch. Tonya is flying back from New York. She tries to call Tim, can't get through. Yeah. He then calls her back, leaves her a voicemail to say he's been fired, and he's met Loki.
Yeah, so I think the neighbour rung her, didn't she? I think between this, the neighbour, she after he went over with the baby, trying to be like...
She almost thinks he's been abusive.
Yeah, he's gone insane. Yeah. So I think she rang Tonya, and now she's on her way back.
Yes.
And then, he leaves her like a voice message, basically being like, wasn't this kind of the sweet voice message where he's sort of like...
so what I'm about to get into now... No, but I got, Alvi, they're back in the house, Alvi goes to Tim and kind of hugs him. There's a really nice song playing in the background, and it's actually a really nice scene. He's bathing the baby, and it's generally pretty wholesome, I'll be honest. Again, there are scenes of good in this film. And this is one of them. And they both fall asleep and they kind of holding hands. The dog gets jealous, puts the mask back on. So we're back in this like wild and zany. So the nice bit didn't last long. Yeah. But what we got was pretty sweet, I'll be honest.
Calm, wasn't it?
And then, I never really realised how little there was of Tim as the mask in this film until now. It's just Otis the whole time. And the baby is just the baby. Yeah. Loki is crawling through a window in their house. And he writes some text on the wall. He does like a spell thing to kind of conjure Odin.
Yeah. This whole bit's really weird, though, isn't it? So obviously, he climbed into their house. The baby's asleep. Well, they're both asleep. So he's climbed into the house. He's doing like, he's I think we're in the baby. The baby's on his own. And the baby's just in the cot.
Yes.
He's very loud.
Yeah.
Firstly, he's very. It's not like he's sort of like whispering, but then he's basically just doing this big voodoo thing. So this whole thing's like going on the background. Yeah. And then the neighbour. Oh my god!
What's going on up there?
What's going on up there? Hey, Tim. Yeah. What's going on up there?
Betty is the name.
Yeah, and she just keeps doing it, and then then where Loki just literally like stands in the window.
In the window, he looks like Michael Myers, man.
He does. He's literally in the window. So she knows at this point.
That is not Tim.
That's not Tim.
Tim's gone mad
and she's still there going, Tim,
what you doing?
Tim.
It's really
weird.
It
was hilarious because at this point I was like, God, she's bloody nosy, isn't she?
Very funny. Yeah. Odin gives him his powers back. We'll cut that bit short. He speaks to Odin, gets his powers back. Yeah. Betty's still out there. And he said he turns her whole head to a nose.
Into a nose.
A huge nose. She sneezes all over the garden. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's kind of funny. It was
nosy neighbours.
Because I was literally thinking it. I was like,
genuinely a very funny joke. Yeah, kind of gross, but a genuinely funny scene. Yeah. So Odin tells him he's got an hour to get the mask back. And then we get the baby in bed.
Yeah.
And it's Loki. He is the face of the baby, and he says something to Tim, and I can't remember what it is, but it's really weird. And then Tonya walks in, and Tim turns around and asks, "Is that really you?" And it's Loki again, and he's dressed as a woman, and it is pretty funny. That bit. I do like that. Loki explains to Tim that Alvi was born with a mask, and that he needs the mask back. He tells Tim to meet him in an hour, and he like puts TNT in his like jacket.
In his bum.
Yeah.
Up his bum.
Yeah.
And fires off with TNT from his bum.
Yeah. I was really trying to figure out if I had that right for so long. No, it is. He puts it there.
He sticks it down his trousers and shoots off up into the sky.
It's weird.
But yeah, it's really weird. So obviously, at this point now, Loki's been told he has an hour until he turns back. And then he tells Tim
to meet him in an hour.
In an hour.
Yeah. It's been about 10 minutes already.
Yeah. And it's a bit like...
He already had to do the baby gag and the female gag.
Yeah, because I think there's a mistake there. Because he goes, meet me in an hour. And as he's leaving, he goes, you've got within the hour.
Yes,
so I think there's a bit of a mistake.
There's got to be,
He said a wrong line there. But
would not surprise me at all. So he grabs the baby and flies off thanks to the TNT. Real weird. Now the real Tonya comes home. House is absolutely destroyed. Baby's gone. And... this whole scene, Tim is acting nuts, and they have a physical fight.
Tim just grabs it and starts beating her up.
Starts banging her head on the floor.
Holding her by the head and so she's walked in. The piano's up the stairs. Everything's obliterated. There's a big bloody fist.
There's a boxing glove.
There's a hole in the roof. Like the house is obliterated. No baby. Tim's come running out to her, attacks her, smashing her head on the floor, being like, "You're not here. You're Loki. You're Loki. You're not really here." What?
I've written, I'm pretty sure that's domestic abuse because it is carnage. So at one point he abuses his baby by screaming in his face and like shaking him, and now he's domestically abusing his wife. This man should be in prison.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's so weird. Then they stop and Tim tells Tonya that Loki has taken Alvi. That is a really hard sentence to say. Otis is on a dog date.
Yes.
With the other dog, Venus.
So yeah, he explains, obviously, again, like she's just come home, she's seen all this. He kind of explains the situation that
they need to go get.
They need to go. She is remarkably calm.
Yeah.
Remarkably, like she panics for the baby situation. Everything else she doesn't really care.
Yeah, no. Not Loki, not the fact Tim's gone, the house is destroyed. The dog's wearing a mask.
She's like, yeah, no problem. Let's go get the baby then.
Yeah. So from here, this whole like last act is just bonkers. So Otis is on a dog date with Venus, the other dog. He's wearing the mask and he's real green. And Tim is fine with that. Yeah. Tim's never seen it. Well, he's seen him once. Yeah. But he's fine with that.
Yeah, he's kind of got used to it.
And so is Tonya, to be fair. She don't care.
She...
Tim tells Otis he's his best friend ever, so Otis gives Tim the mask after kissing Venus. Real
tongues.
Yeah. Dogs.
Dog tongues. Straight.
Loki is sat with Alvi, trying to bond with him. Again, kind of like the scene, because he sees himself as almost like his dad.
Yeah.
Anytime the baby does CGI stuff, it's horrendous. But I do love Loki doing it.
It's kind of sweet. You know, they play like cowboys together.
Yeah,
they kind of start doing like a showdown thing.
Yeah, they mess around. They show each other the powers. They're playing Super Twister.
Oh, I don't like it.
It's weird.
He says, let's play Super Twister. No one beats me at this. That's what Loki says. The baby. So yeah, we cut. Then I think we cut away, don't we? And then they come back later.
Yeah.
And then so they basically both stretch Armstrong's, but it's like
ears are stretched.
So his ear comes out and he starts like
tickling him. Yeah, it's
into
really
his arms.
weird.
This really.
Did you notice Loki's socks?
No,
the mask all over him again. Like they just can't let it go. Playing Super Twister, stretching the ears and fingers to a different spot. It's pretty disturbing. The Averys have arrived here.
Yeah.
Tim is giving the mask to Loki while trying to grab Alvi at the same time. So they're kind of doing that.
Try to do like an exchange.
But Loki keeps it because he's grown attached.
Yeah.
So Otis bites him
in the
balls. Just mouth full, and his eyes like go into space.
Oh, mate, yeah.
And it's kind of funny.
It is,
but it's kind of not funny at the same time.
No,
it was a bit of both. I was like,
I think he's either gone either way. He's either gone into a point where it's gone out of space and his eyes like sort of like crack
or like blow up or
like they kind of turn to ice and explode or something. But it just
and then comes back
and then back in. It's a bit odd.
It's just not that funny.
Yeah.
The mask lands on Tim's face and he's back for the first time. So this is the second appearance. Yeah. He's got that stupid monotone voice and he sucks. He absolutely sucks. He's trying hard to be Jim Carrey's version and it's just not happening.
But also immediately, Tanya's just like, ooh.
You look hot, she says. And I was like,
this woman is what a woman.
Bonkers.
I mean, she's obviously completely insane, but wow, she takes everything in her stride. Like there is nothing that
she loves it all.
Yeah, she doesn't care. She's absolutely fine with everything.
Super weird. They get into the car and he transforms the car into this like bonkers Hot Wheels.
I literally got that.
But I love the design, the big mouth on it. It looks awesome. The flames coming out. If they had done more of this could have been like an underrated gem. They don't, unfortunately. But yeah, that is awesome. They have this car chase with Loki. Loki speeds on using his lose them for good gear. Hilarious. And the road starts stretching because he goes so fast. The road like stretches back and goes on. So they're like driving up and down. This whole scene is fine. I like it. It's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Quite cool, isn't it?
They then get into this boxing ring.
Yeah.
So they enter this like boxing hall,
yeah,
and there's no one there. Obviously, it's a humongous hall, and they get into this boxing ring. And it was at this point I realized Tanya, as you mentioned, she's not weirded out by Loki or Tim or the baby or the dog. Nothing.
She's unflappable. Like.
Does not care.
It's quite incredible.
It's so weird. The whole fight scene I hate.
Oh,
they have to have the fart joke, obviously.
I know, but that's the thing, though. Because obviously Loki starts with the classic like fight scene like a beeline, and he starts boxing, and then Tim comes back with. Jump like a grasshopper, stink like a skunk, and jumps in the air and comes down and farts in his face.
Yeah, for like 6 seconds. It's just you laugh about it because it's so you just can't believe.
No, you're just like, oh.
I said it's really embarrassing. I think the fight scene is awful. Yeah. Tim looks terrible. Yeah. It is awful. Yeah. This next scene, once you get out with the boxing ring, I enjoy. Yeah. Tim pulls out the guns and they just keep stretching this.
It's the one that
it's pretty cool. I do like that. Yeah. And then Loki like rubs them out with a pencil, which is obviously a callback to that episode of Daffy Duck where he has the animator in the background. Have you ever seen that episode? It's incredible, but it's a reference to that. It's really cool, but again, they can't do anything original. They've always got to be references. If that was their own thing, I would have been like, that was amazing. Cool. But they just can't do it.
The flowers, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 big daisies. Yeah. It's fun. I like it. They put Alvi down and they want him to choose who he wants to go to, Tim or Loki.
After this, was the pencil then? As the pencil comes to attack him, he turns into a sharpener?
Yes.
And then he sharpens. All the shaving turns into Loki. And that was actually a really nice transition.
The face comes in.
Transition.
Awesome. Yeah, really cool. Good. I love that part. So they put Alvi down. Yeah. They can allow him to choose Tim or Loki. Loki turns himself into like a fairground ride.
Yeah, I think so. It's like sort of thing
big
around
hat
his head.
And he's scary. His face is like this thin. He's terrifying.
But yeah, it's a bit, I mean, it's terrible parenting. Like, after all this situation...
It's our baby, but if you want to go to him...
No problem, you have it.
Really, really weird. So yeah, Loki turns onto that freaky little ride thing. It's weird. Tim takes off the mask. Obviously, we don't need the mask that long, apparently, so we're back to normal Tim, and I hate him. So much. He apologised for Alvi for not knowing how to handle him, says he loves him really. Alvi finally says that and goes to Tim.
Yeah, it's kind of wholesome.
Yes, I don't really care.
It
was going to happen. Loki's really, really angry. He goes green and makes a massive hammer to crush the Averys, and he just misses every time.
I know.
Massive hammer, tiny people. Misses.
But did you notice? So he misses. They get trapped. He comes down, and somehow, so this is Tim, no mask, nothing. Tim just stops, just holds it.
Holds the hammer.
How has he done this?
No clue.
I'm assuming it's like
courage, dad's strength.
Like, you know, you say like mums can sort of like lift cars and things. I'm assuming it's that.
Yeah.
But it's what?
Before that, though, when they're running, child doll again, because he's like swinging this kid. It's so funny.
It's like he's never handled a child before.
So funny. But yeah, Tim is lifting up this hammer, and the two drills come out the side of the hammer, and they're about to get Tim right here. Loki's hour is up, so the powers just go pew, and they're gone. Odin appears in the flesh for the first time in the film. This is the first time we see him actually there, though.
Oh,
we've never seen him fully real world.
Yeah, because you see him in the clouds. Like,
and this is the last 5 minutes, and this is the first time you see him. So I don't believe Bob Hoskins was ever on set.
No, because there is a bit where you see him
in the clouds.
But yeah, probably not.
No, I think this was the only time, and I reckon he got paid insanely for this moment. But yeah, he's there for the first time. He tells Loki the time is up, and he tells him how much he has failed. Tells him he's a failure in every aspect of his life. It's real depressing. No, it is. I was just watching like, oh my god, like you've had that whole baby thing, and now you're having this, and it's like, this is a kid's film. Yeah. It's terrible. Tim interferes with Odin and Loki, tries to bring them together, and like,
this is really odd, though, isn't it? Because
he doesn't like his own kid.
Tim's been a garbage human being for 99% of this film until like the last second. He's got, actually, that's my child, and all of a sudden, like, if this man was coming to me going like, "Hey guys,
look after your son."
Are you mad, brother?
Yeah, no, he's an idiot. I just don't get it.
Yeah,
he literally talks to him for about 2 minutes, and now Odin and Loki are like best mates. Yeah. And thanks to Tim, it's like really cringe, and they just go off to like Asgard or whatever.
Yeah, this a bit though. I thought, was it ever explained why he wants the mask? What is it? Outside of the
it's just Loki's mask.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean though? Like, because they don't need it. Clearly.
No, he's got his own powers.
For the power. Yeah. So do they use the mask? Is it just a thing that he needs it so other people can't use it? Yeah. I never really...
No, I don't get it either. No,
it's never explained as to why they actually need this mask so badly. No. But yeah, they get it anyway.
And that's it, and they're gone. Yeah. And that's them. Done.
Yeah.
Dunzo. Yeah. We're back in the house. Tim is making a new cartoon. It's based on Albion Otis, and the boss loves it. Yeah. I would too. It's great.
It looks good.
Tim and Tony are watching the cartoon, feet rubbing. They're rubbing each other's feet. Oh. Why is that a shot in the film?
I hate it.
And they're just rubbing feet.
I hate it.
And it goes on for like far too long.
It's really uncomfortable.
Then Tonya says, they're talking about the show, and she says, oh, you might need to add another character, and like points to her stomach. She's pregnant again. The baby winks into the camera.
That was, to end on that.
That's the last shot.
Very much insinuated that the baby is the father.
I mean, I at least took it as the baby knows what happened. I don't know the father, but that would be...
No, but that's like, it's a wink of like, hey.
It's so weird.
It's really
He winks it, and that's it. The end. Yeah. We get a little, like, post-credit scene as that happens with Otis just going across the screen with the mask on, and that's it.
Yeah.
The end. I don't know what that film was. It's bonkers.
It's a thing.
It's the first time watch for you too, so let's move into the category straight away. Acting wise, I thought it was pretty bad across the board. Like, pretty bad. Jamie Kennedy is like a car crash to watch. It's just painful and slow and real bad. Trailer Howard, who played Tonya, really weird too, just bizarre. Yeah. Just not a very good performance from either of the two main leads, but I'll give credit where credit's due, and I really love Alan Cumming in the role, and I really love Bob Hoskins. He's really weird. Yeah. I love them too. Whenever Bob Hoskins shows up, he's the man. But yeah, everyone else, real bad. I'm going to go 4 out of 10 for acting. I think that's pretty high, to be fair, but those two were good, and the rest of the people, just not very good.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it is pretty atrocious throughout. Tim is really annoying. It's a weird one because it's I know it is a children's film, so it's like I can't really judge it that harshly because I can imagine for a child watching this is probably extremely entertaining.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it's so ridiculous and over the top that it kind of works. I think if it was like genuinely good performances with this ridiculous film, it would look a bit wild. Obviously, I agree. Like Loki was the best part of the film. I didn't find Tonya that bad. She was harmless. That's why it was sort of like she was there again. She probably could have reacted a bit better to things that were going on. But it was what it was. For me, I've given it 5 out of 10, straight down the middle.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Effects. Do you want to go first with the effects?
Yes. Again, this is hard because there are some genuinely great animation scenes, and then there are some horrific CGI scenes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like a real split. Obviously, the baby is the worst thing about this film. It's genuinely scary.
Yeah.
The CGI when it's actually a CGI human, it's terrifying. But some of the actual animation bits, especially involving Otis and the baby, were really good. I found generally the sort of like when they bring the big weapons out, the guns, the hammers, it wasn't great, but it was serviceable. It was fine. Totally it was nothing that I was like, "Ooh, this is bad." Yeah. It's really tough again because of that. I knock it down more for the baby than the rest of the animations. I've gone 7.
Wow!
Because I think genuinely the animation scenes were really good.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you there. The animation stuff was really good. I do like the like callbacks to old cartoons and Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes and stuff like that. But I think anything other than those scenes was just really ugly. Like the whole film is just ugly. Do you know what I mean? Like whenever Tim is the mask, he just looks awful.
I didn't really take out
the face, the wig, horrendous. Loki when he's big and green, horrible, horrendous. And like any of the CGI that isn't Otis, I think just looks real ugly. I'll be honest. It could be because I watched this as a kid. I'm kind of a bit more, lenient on it because of him and like Otis and stuff like that looks good. But I thought the rest of it was really ugly, so I'm gonna go 4.
Okay, fair.
It's just very ugly.
Yeah, to be fair, it didn't really take into account the whole actual masks themselves, which is horrific. So yeah, I think I could probably knock it down to like a 6. But yeah, that's not
music. I'll go with this one because it just made no impact.
Oh, really?
No, nothing at all. Again, it's one of those films I just can't remember any of it apart from
Okay.
the "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" dance bit, which I thought was obviously horrendous and just went on for far too long.
Be true, yeah, good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I love you, baby. You feel like having a touch.
But I don't really remember any of the music at all, I'll be honest. So there's not really much I can say because it didn't really resonate with me at all.
Yeah, no,
so I've just gone 2 because I can't think of any music moments.
Yeah, no, now you think about it, there isn't really much. You've got obviously as you said, I Can't Take Your Eyes Off You bit. Have the sort of song with the frog song, which is a kind of bit of a musical.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stealing off Looney Tunes.
Yeah, but I kind of agree with you. I think for most of it, you don't really. I think it's very typical sort of kids 2000 sort of wacky sort of music in the background. But yeah, nothing really. So yeah, I'll go like a 4.
Yeah, it's just not noticeable.
No,
it
isn't.
No. Entertainment.
Oh yeah. So it is a terrible movie. It is.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much going on. It's so non-stop that
you're gonna get entertained by some moments.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell whether I was entertained or distracted.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like I couldn't really figure out what was going on. The story is basically non-existent.
Yeah.
It's mainly just throwing things at the screen
and see what works.
Yeah, and seeing 100%. What works.
I agree.
Again, it's some of the animation. Some of them were genuinely really great. The acting was kind of all over the shop, pretty bad. The baby was again the CGI horrific.
Horrendous. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know if I was genuinely entertained or again if I was just more bewildered by like what was going on.
Yeah.
So I'll give it like a 7.
Wow.
Because I think again, I don't know. I didn't enjoy it, but it was enough for me. I was never bored.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel pretty different to you. I'll be real with this part. I'm pretty much right down the middle because half of it I really liked. Half of it being the baby and the dog kind of Tom and Jerry rip-off stuff. That was a lot of fun. And whenever Loki was there, a lot of fun. But then you get the rest of the film. That is Tim and Tonya having a child, and it is the most boring thing for me, in my opinion. Those are the scenes where I was bored, and like the first 40 minutes of the film just sucks to me. Absolutely, like I got no enjoyment out of it. Yeah. But I'm gonna have to split it down the middle and say 5 out of 10, just because there's that half of the film that I do enjoy, but then there's that other half that I just do not like at all. So yeah, it's 5 out of 10 for me. It's just real middle of the ground. Like there's just that's it. Overall, I really didn't like this film watching it back as an adult overall. I said there are entertaining bits, like half of the film, I'd say probably less than half of the film is entertaining to me. Again, mainly because it's just referencing other things and things I used to love as a kid. But anything other than that, there's just no originality. They're always referencing something. They're always harkening back to that first film. Yeah. And unfortunately, if they tried something original, they probably could have got something a bit decent out of this at the very least. Yeah, but watching this as an adult, I honestly had to keep pausing in disbelief. Some of the just inappropriate stuff. There's so many weird sexual undertones to this film, and it's about a child. It's super weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a product of its time.
Yeah, and I just no. For me, I barely got anything out of it apart from that kind of segment of the film. I'll go 3 overall. I know I wanted to be more gracious, but it took me like 3 hours to get through this film.
Would you recommend?
No, I can't recommend.
I agree.
I could maybe recommend to people who like old cartoons, and that's it.
No, I agree. I would saying all that. I would not recommend watching this film. The only thing I would recommend this to is if you have a small child.
Yes.
For a small child, it's such a complete sensory overload of just throwing things at you that if you want to keep your kid quiet for an hour and a half, however long it is, you can sit them down in front of this and they'll probably love it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I kind of agree with pretty much everything you said. I'm not going to be quite as harsh. It was a film that's not for me. That's the way I came away from it. It was something, by the end of it, I thought, I will never watch this again, but this was not made for me.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, I didn't get much of it. I'll go like a 5 out of 10. Because I think, if I was a child watching this, I'd probably think it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, because it's just so zany,
I think anyone over the age of probably like 8, 9, maybe that's even too old, would just think this was awful.
It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
So that's our disaster debate on Son of the Mask. I feel like this is becoming quite a common trend. I'm a lot more harsh on this than you were.
Yeah.
But yeah, just not great for me at all. So.
I think I'm just a lot. I mean, Louis nice say. You like the Simon Cowell of this, like during all the Louis Walsh.
Absolutely.
Beautiful film.
And we will see you next time.
You stay classy, motherfucker.